Okay, so from my side, I just wanted to show you the progress that I made. I've started doing the stateboard. You might turn around and tell me that you don't need the stateboard right now. That's fine. Um, and go through my to-do list because I'm sort of at the point where I have uh, every so often I end up at a position where I'm like, oh my goodness, what do I do now? What's the best thing? So that's sort of where I'm
Oh,
at the moment.
well,
So
I can help with that one.
yeah, okay.
Where are you at with the stateboard?
Oh,
The stateboard board would be awesome, actually.
okay. Well, um, the issue that I got to with the stateboard. that's that's the stateboard. It looks a bit crappy. Let's see. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I've just been caught completely off guard.
No worries.
Let me just wipe this out. Okay, so the current issue with the stateboard is one of layout. So the idea was that I was going to make the history or the message history was going to allow you to click back or navigate back to previous stateboard states because
Yep.
that sort of seemed like something you'd want to do. What I was playing around with here is that I think that how I want to lay the page out is that up here will be like things that you've done with the stateboard that the conversation needs to know about, like edited a file, rearranged some collections or pickups.
Right, state changes.
Yeah, things that the next time you press go on the button, it should know about. Like the bot should know about.
Right.
It usually happens because you're here,
Yeah.
and then it's just like
You see, it's because I'm Scottish. I resemble that remark.
it's a cold place, Scotland.
I tell you what, it's blowing up a hoolie at the moment. Winter's coming. Winter's coming. Aye.
I'm not convinced it ever left. I mean, this time for sure. Oh, what? No. This time. Gosh, live demos when
Apparently,
you
we've had the warmest summer on record in Scotland. Average of 16 degrees Celsius.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
I don't know, it's a bit warm. A bit warm. I don't like the warm.
What you did? Look, I don't know why, but I can't make the thing work with the stuff, so that's very annoying. Let me try another way. Good old Hal.
Aye. He's good on that one.
Hmm. Alright, so we'll eventually load up some stuff, and then we'll, show some things. So this is where I'm at. The issue with the stateboard is that when you have a screen that's laid out sort of like this screen, there's no real room because you actually need quite a bit of space to have your conversation, and so there's no real room to put the stateboard. So what I was thinking of doing is putting a switch such as this thing here would be in this corner. And so you would when you toggled it on or off, the whole messages area would switch out to be the stateboard or not. But if you were on a really big computer, like if your computer screen looked like that, then the stateboard would pop up over on the right-hand side for you.
Okay, and by big screen, what are you talking about? Basically, a difference between a laptop and a device.
A laptop and a phone, yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it seems reasonable for that. The only problem with switching, where you remove the thread, is you've got to carry in your meat brain what you're thinking about between screens. So you've got to go, right, okay, I'm back. No, shit, what was I doing? Go back and forwards. But if it's a matter of screen real estate, there's not much we can do about that.
Yeah, there's not much you can do about that. So, because the idea that I have is that I want to put little, you call them lozenges, these things up here that indicate, like, if I've attached a file, like if I go attach file and then I select something, then that would have put it, a lozenge would appear, so that the next time I press send on the prompt, the thread will receive a reference to that file. If I was in the stateboard and I clicked a bunch of stuff, more lozenges would pop up. So this area above the input box would eventually become loaded with the things that you'd attached. So if you had 6 of them, it'd pile up a stack of them up like that. And so those are the things that you interact with the stateboard about. Like, that's the way that stateboard information comes across to the thread. And then what that means is that little toggle button is sort of, the more lozenges you stack up here, then there's always space for the toggle button.
Right, because you can't go horizontal because you don't know how many things you've attached. Vertical is a bit of an arse because, again, that's taking up
message space, right?
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, you shouldn't have that many things. You should probably only have 1,
2, 3.
Yeah.
I can go up to 3.
Yeah.
I don't think I've gone above 3.
Right. If you attach more than 3 things, what are you doing, I guess, is the question. So I could make the toggle button just toggle over the stack of things, or I could make the stack of things go scrollable or something, or I can just not worry about it, and we'll figure out it.
To be honest, what I'd do is I'd stick them all horizontal, and it will throw up a scroll for all of them anyway. But I don't think for what we're doing, it's not going to be an issue, and we can deal with that issue.
Okay, all right.
Vertical feels wrong because that's valuable real estate, but most of it will be white space because you've just got lozenges.
But the lozenges are long though. Like they're probably about that long because they contain things like file paths. Uh,
Well, can't we just use NL to summarize using no more than 8 characters, that sort of thing?
yep, fair. Okay, all right. So you wanted to go? Yeah, okay, fine. Horizontal it is, and then we'll just deal with that. And the toggle, I can't think of a better way. Like if you're constrained for space, I need to take over something. If I took over the whole screen with the stateboard, then that's even more annoying because now you can't type or hit the mic or see your interactions show up above the prompt.
Right, but the thing, okay, so think about this. You're on your phone, you toggle, and you've got the stateboard. And the next thing you're going to do is interact again. So long as you can type or talk,
Yeah,
and then you're still on the stateboard, and the stateboard updates and goes, oh, that was weird. You turn the stateboard off, you go back and going, right. So that seems to work because ideally, remember the ideal is you've got your phone with the stateboard up all the time, and all you're doing is talking at it. You don't actually type in another character in your life.
right. So this is how it would look on a mobile, and so you sort of want to, your stack of lozenges for interactions would be rising up here, but then you'd always have this toggle button over here that could flick out this area for the stateboard view and back again. So you could
sticking it like top right or something like that because
the stateboard or the toggle.
The toggle.
Well, I tried to make all the interactivity of the system is this little area. That's where everything happens. Putting something.
People are used to doing metas in top corners, left and right. Like, I want to go to my account. I want to know more, or I want to search.
That's true.
The files are not meta. It would seem to me if it was always in the top right, I could always get to it and always know about it.
Right. But then we've blocked whatever was up in the top right, which is unknown. Was here, you haven't really blocked anything. You can always assure that there's clear space there.
True, or you can bump system down by one line, like a header. But that's restricting space as well. Phones suck.
Yep.
Okay.
Alright. So and now,
for now, just get because we can move it around after we use it and get irritated with it and say, for fuck's sake.
It's more about the fact that we have dreamed about the stateboard and mentioned it many times, but when it comes to the actual utility of it, it can sort of hit a bit of a lump. So,
but this is UI stuff, which neither of us are very good at, but we can
that's
certainly.
rude.
I'm not good at UI guru, and so I say we stick it somewhere, and then we use it and we figure it out. I don't think should be spending too much brain cycles for figuring out.
Okay, so the next question then is, how I've been triggering a stateboard is it's a function call that the bot makes. And so given if you were in the position where you were using the toggle on or off, what would you expect to happen if the bot calls show stateboard? Would you expect that to flick the toggle, or would you expect to simply be told that I can hit the toggle?
As in, I think it's similar to backchat, isn't it? It's I don't want to have show toggle or go to stateboard in my thread, because it's just an operating system level thing. Although I want to be able to say, right, show me the stateboard.
Well, I tell you what, buddy. After talking to you just now, because it's a function call to change the stateboard, and it shows up in the message thread. And because part of the selection lozenges is the ability to select within the thread, so like I should be able to select that message and it shows up as the selection here because I want to talk about that message, right?
Right.
So,
Yep.
and if the changing of the stateboard appears as just another tool call that I can decorate specially and be like, this was a stateboard change or whatever, why not make the toggle just be in the message thread? And you gotta, when you hit it, then it will show, it will take over the message screen and show the stateboard and give
Well,
you.
that would solve your rollback thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because that's rollback as well, right? That's rollback
Yeah.
and toggle in one device, one mechanism.
That's nice.
That's cool,
That's
right?
nice.
Okay, and then so when the bot says, I am now changing the stateboard, I will automatically make the stateboard appear for you. Right?
Yeah.
And in worst case, if you have no touchscreen, like your screen's cracked, your mouse died, and you just lost your hands, you can still chat to it and say, okay, stop showing the stateboard, and it would show the null stateboard, which is empty. And so you could still achieve the goal of driving the whole UI with nothing but chat. But if you want it...
Sorry, null stateboard, or wouldn't it go back to the thread?
Well, showing an empty stateboard is a special case because sometimes you want that, because say you were showing the stateboard that was like a stock market chart, and then the conversation moved on to talk about the evils of capitalism. It's irrelevant that what the stateboard is showing because there's been a topic switch, and you might not yet have enough information to show the stateboard, so you'd want to drop the stateboard or shut it down.
When in the no arms and you can't reach your nose because you no arms and the screen's cracked.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be something like show stateboard, show thread? Show stateboard, show thread.
That's a good point.
Sounds an awful lot like a backchat intercept.
Show stateboard, show thread.
Actually, I think of it, just to add to your woes, if there's a lozenge, you might want to say show HAL v0.2. You go to the file, you go, or show file 01.
Yeah.
I just uploaded. It's like, that's the right file.
So when you said show file 1, you would expect the stateboard to take over the screen and show you the contents like what you just asked, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then when you're finished with it, if you can't use your appendages to exit out of the stateboard, you could just say hide the stateboard or show the thread or something like that, and then that would drop you back down. Okay, and then
any combination of that.
Yeah, and then if I go show the thread, show me the stateboard again, it would assume or know that you were meaning the last stateboard, and then it would flick up that last stateboard. Then if you said something like, give me the stateboard before that, and it would sort of cycle back.
Yeah, that's the rollback, exactly. It's like, we were talking about Rogan Josh about 5 minutes ago. Show me that stateboard.
All right, okay. So then you'd also, the next thing I guarantee you're going to ask me for is...
Yes. Although Backchat has access to thread and context, right?
Yeah, but you'd yep, that's true. That might just work. That might just work automatically because it would see where the stateboard got called.
Yeah, if it wasn't 5 minutes, if it was 10 minutes, and it wasn't Rogan Josh, it was, I don't know, lamb curry. You go, no, that's not the right one. You know, give me a list of every time I've talked about anything Indian,
Yeah.
cuisine-wise, over the last hour. I'm going, do. Okay, right, that's the one. It was lamb curry. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So that sounds cool. I'm glad we're having this conversation. And then,
Yes,
yeah,
I'm not glad.
I'm sorry. This is my.
Work on your glad noise.
Well,
Yeah.
once I have my health
Bit more
back,
glad, please. Bit more glad.
more glad. Okay. Um. Yeah. So once, if your screen's big enough, then what we'll do is we'll just show it in its full glory, um, off to the
Yeah,
side over here, right?
yeah. With
All
some
right.
kind of placeholder if there's nothing in there. Right at the start of the chat.
Well, if there's
Just
nothing in there, it doesn't show. Like that's sort of what I was gonna do. Like a placeholder is not really.
yeah, okay, fair enough. No, that's fair.
I don't know.
And it
Like
pops up as soon as there's something worth showing.
I could be argued into being like, how would anyone know about the stateboard if you didn't show them that it was there, or whatever. So
They would get to the stateboard pretty quickly.
you'll get it there, right? You'll kind of have it
Oh,
shoved in
what's
your.
that? What's that?
What are you doing? Okay. And the way I was handling which widgets get shown was I was basically just making just a list of widgets that were like I don't really know any other way to deal with that. It's just here's a set of widgets. They end up being prompted a bit like the way that we do prompting for functions and parameters. These things have they have functions with parameters that call them because you need to give them some initial conditions depending on what
Oh,
they're
yeah.
used for.
Sure. I mean, that seems reasonable. I mean, for example, you could add something like render mermaid as one of your widgets. And then you get all the benefits of mermaid or, insert graphing software of your choice.
Right.
If there's a widget there, just render it.
Right. How would
So
you
what we're talking about is a canvas, right? In
yeah,
this
but
case.
how would you imagine pulling down these widgets from an app store where they were pulled in just in time? See, here they're well known because I've hard coded them, but once that number hits about 100 and we want to invite people to put their own ones in, how?
Well, that's to do with the description, right? So what you
The
want to know is
right,
context.
and the other signals like reputation and usage count and all that, right?
Right, yeah. And so, if you're talking about a test report, the description of the TPS report would be such that this report on tests, we know what that is, and it's in big code. Okay, boom, there it is. If you ask for something, or if there's no widget, and it's potentially stuck, show me a smiley face widget. There isn't one. It's like, oh, okay, that's fine. We'll note that request, but no. But yeah, I imagine these to be individual files, much like tests, with kind of metadata and description of what they do, and then the payload being how to render it.
Mm. Okay. It also dawned on me that, and this is a question for you, in terms of priorities. That as soon as I can give you a file explorer,
Yep.
and I don't want to get you too excited, but it is sort of, it won't look this fancy because I need to strip some bits out, but it sort of looks like that, and you can go around and navigate what's in your what's in your repo, right? No? Come on, don't make that
possibly.
Scottish sound. The sound
Um,
of Scotland.
I would expect to be able to say it. I never want to navigate through a file folder structure ever again because
What?
you lose stuff, right?
What?
What I want to do is to show me what have we got in the chunky folder again, or depending on what chunky is, maybe it's to do with recipes. It's like, what recipes do I have? Maybe you've got recipes in 3 or 4 different folders. The folder structure is not something I want to navigate around. I want to be able to ask, get me the file that does this. Is the search piece.
Yeah.
I really don't want to be like trying to remember in my head.
It wasn't about
Where
this.
stuff is.
Yeah. This wasn't about making you remember. It was more about giving you a tool to jog your memory. So, there were 2 other components to this proposal. One was sorry, 3 others. One was a repo browser. Like, instead of seeing folders, you'd see the repos that you had. And a repo is like it's kind of special because it's a standalone Git domain. Like it's not a branch. It's like a dedicated. That's a repo, and the repo has branches. The second part of it was a branch explorer. So being able to see what branches there are in the Git repo, navigate to a particular one, chat to Hal about something at a particular branch. And the third piece was the commit history. So being able to navigate and see what file content there was as each commit changed. And so the reason why I'm asking about these things, which is not having much of a positive landing, but if I can give us that, then it makes debugging for us, the people who don't have the all-seeing eye that knows every file ever by just hint.
Maybe I'll rephrase it then. That would be the absolute basic and ultimately will be the last resort. I'll give you an example. So on the Docusaurus website, I hunted and pecked around to find out where the hell the front page was because I couldn't remember what the document folder structure was.
Right.
What I'd like to do is say, Hal, show me where the front page is in this Docusaurus website, and I'll just go and find it. That's the ideal. It's like,
Right.
understand the file structure, understand what Docusaurus was, and it'll come back with the right thing. It would have saved me loads of time. Now, the your second point on history, be like, what was the last change to this, or how have we changed this over time? Say 3, 4 changes. Can you give me some deltas?
Right.
That'd be very useful as well.
But that needs a widget, doesn't it? Like that's like if you say I want to see, you'd say what you want in terms of changes, and then allowing the stateboard to fire up with a widget that had been pre-configured to show you just what you'd asked for would be better than trying to show it to you in Markdown format.
Yeah.
No, I'm not feeling like you're that keen on this folder
Well,
browser
no,
thing.
this is like entry stakes, but we can do much better than that. So what we want is effectively semantic search.
Yeah.
Without knowing anything about the folder structure whatsoever.
Correct. So do you want me to make a widget for a file viewer or not? Like, is that not
necessary as table stakes? Because
like that's entry level?
Right.
Like you can't even play the game without that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
All right.
it's way below what we can do.
Okay. So
But
it's an,
that's all prompting world, in terms of, okay, here's a repo. Tell me where the front page
all right.
is.
So for us, okay. So if I spent like a couple of days putting that in, that would be time well spent, or there's other things I should be spending my time on.
The biggest thing still is being able to remember the sequence diagram, being able to uh, call and instantiate another bot and send it a payload, and then now you're talking to that bot. That's the main
What?
thing.
Sorry, what? Like,
Yeah, you remember the sequence diagrams. So what did we do? It's like weather bot. So you're talking
yeah,
to Hal, and
yeah,
I say to Hal,
yeah. But that's the
backchat, give me the
that
weather bot
that's the
for,
switchboard in operation, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
That's the main thing, and that payload is important. So backchat, give me the weather for Scotland today.
that's easy. Why not pick some?
Hey, just
pick
hard
some.
code that.
Yeah.
And then I go to backchat, go to switchboard, find you, instantiate it, pass the payload, and then you're now talking to the weatherbot saying,
Right.
it's pissing down raining.
What's the payload?
The payload would, in this case, in that example, would be I'm in Scotland. So you need to pass that on to weatherbot in order to get a sensible thing back.
So who were you talking to first?
Hal.
Right.
So
So
we're
you were talking to Hal. Why was that not intercepted by switchboard before it made it to Hal?
Because Hal is your primary thing, but you say in Hal backchat, so it goes to backchat. Backchat, what's the weather in Scotland?
When you
Backchat
do
says,
that, were you expecting a new thread to be formed, or you wanted to keep on with this conversation in the thread that you're currently in?
it would be. That's a damn good question. Damn, it could be either one, couldn't it?
So I can see a world where Hal has the ability to call switchboard with a modified prompt. So you're like, Hal, look, god damn it, blah 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 blah. I want to know the weather in Scotland. And then Hal would be like, ooh, that's not me. I can reform this query, and now I'm going to send it to switchboard with a cleaned up query.
Yeah, it goes through backchat to do that, though, doesn't it? I think
Switchboard,
backchat is
no.
the one. It goes straight from Hal to switchboard.
How it works is it goes, whatever text you say, it goes via the summoner. The summoner decides, is this person trying to talk to backchat in any way, or should I send it through to the currently focused thread?
Mm-hmm.
If it
Okay,
goes,
so who retrieves the sysprompt on the weatherbot and instantiates it and tells it what's the weather in Scotland? Get back to this guy.
that would have been within the thread that you were in. Switchboard is running, because if it's running in using the long thread model, then and it didn't get picked up by the summoner, then switchboard makes a decision on which agent to load for it.
Okay, so it's then going to artifact saying, right, well, switchboard knows about the bots. It's like, hey, I've got a weather bot. Brilliant. So I'm going to get the system prompt. Here's a new system prompt. I'm going to give that new system prompt, what's the weather in Scotland? Give the results back to the original questionnaire. Because Dave wants to know what the weather in Scotland is. Oh, you've gone,
Dude,
kind of zen on me.
I'm lost. I'm
you're back.
really lost in the 3D world.
Can I give me 2 seconds? I'll bring up the
All right, I'll give you 2 seconds. I'm going to exit and come back, and my app's gone weird.
Oh, has it?
Like
yeah,
the gravity's gone.
Very peaceful.
Yeah, the gravity, like it lost sense of what level was.
Oh, Yeah,
I'll,
your chair's been doing something weird as
I
well.
know. I'll be back.
All right.
Okay, that is much
I have to
better.
regenerate it because I didn't save it. Okay.
Bollocks indeed.
Yeah, I just got kicked off platform and lost the thread I was working on.
And it's not showing under threads?
That's very rude as well.
So rude.
Well, it might still be mermaid. Because we're in mermaid, aren't we? Ooh, almost. That was the I'm alright bot. That was the last thing we talked about, wasn't it? See if we can just go back. Can I go back? No, I can't go back. What will this do? Okay, this isn't right. That's the well bot example. Computer not found. Oh, for fuck's sake. It's here. It's right fucking here. Oh, I'm gonna get banned on YouTube. So when you're saying you were lost, are you meaning you were lost in VR space or lost with
Yeah.
my discussion?
I was lost. I was lost in VR space. It's as
Oh,
though
right, okay,
the
so I'll try and find an example. So, well, I'll bring this up as well because I will. There's nothing you can do to stop me.
well, there is actually.
Right, okay. This is not a great example because it doesn't involve passing information. But so you are in how?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Prompt. Backchat. Take me to I'm alright bot. This is the last
Am
thing.
I right, bot?
Am
Yeah.
I right? Yeah. And it's like in that case.
But
like,
why are you asking Backchat to take you to bots?
well, this is where I'm thinking. This model isn't complete. So right, take that prompt. I'm in how,
Yeah.
and I say, say I want to talk to Am I Right bot.
Yeah, what do you want to happen to your conversation history up to this point that you've had with Hal? Do you want a brand new blank session with Am I Right, bot?
No, I think you want it in the current conversation.
Okay, so
because inside a how you can say
so you
this
should
it
right.
works
So
that
so
context switch.
why did you feel the need to say backchat? Why couldn't you just say I want to talk to the Am I Right bot?
Because we had the keyword backchat for switching, but I think this is where I'm out of date.
Yeah. This we it started that we were using backchat to switch between individual agents, and then we decided that the long thread model was going to switch the agents out in place on the thread itself.
Right.
And
Okay.
and then
So
backchat dropped in importance at that point. Backchat became more back to what it was supposed to be originally, which was the system level navigation of threads.
got it. Okay. So this is wrong, but let's trace this from that prompt.
Yeah,
This prompt here, right? Take me
yeah.
to I'm all right, bot.
So you would drop if you said backchat, how I would expect the system right now to respond to that is that it would fire up backchat, it would receive the request, take me to Am I Right bot. Backchat would assume that you meant to have a new clean thread. It would create a
Mm-hmm.
new thread for you, drop you in there with the Am I Right bot selected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And
But
if I
if you
wanted a new
didn't say
thread,
backchat, you'd say take me to Am I Right bot, and so Hal would. Um, I actually think that you could set up Hal to be switchboard aware, and it could um, send you to that bot. Or I think switchboard is intelligent enough that if you said a phrase as declarative as "take me to Am I Right bot," switchboard would be like, "Oh, that's definitely meant to be for the Am I Right bot."
got it. So the question is SwitchBot listening in to your thread and just
Every
go,
single prompt that you put into that thread goes via switchboard, and switchboard is
right,
the one that decides should I keep the current bot, should I make a new bot, or what.
okay, all right. So this is not so far off. I'll just put it in back chat
And
instead
I
of
want to add a couple of
switchboard.
features in there that might be of importance to this discussion. The
Mm-hmm.
utility to be able to lock yourself onto a particular bot, because I was finding that switchboard was quite
Switchy.
very switchy. It
Yeah.
flickered. It flicked around, and so I wanted. Sometimes I might want to say which bot I want, and I want it to stay there until I explicitly tell it that I want to get off.
Yeah. It's like a back and forward button on the browser.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So switchboard, yeah, that's fine.
What should the back and forwards button do in the browser now that we have the stateboard, the switchboard, and
If it's a
backchat?
new thread, then you can carry some of that information back if you want, but otherwise that thread's gone. That's the back button. You just lost it. Well, you could probably go forward, but you go back and you do anything else, and it's lost.
What
Exactly the
if
same
back
as
and
browser.
forwards navigated you through the stateboards? Would that be something you'd expect to happen?
What do you mean by that?
Well, if I had a stateboard that showed up for sorting some customers, and then a stateboard that showed up for doing some bank record reconciliation, if I hit back and it navigated me to the previous stateboard I was looking at, does that fit what the user's expectation of back and forwards buttons is?
Yeah. I mean, ideally, the backs and forwards should. The only additional thing is you can carry information backwards and forwards instead of copying and pasting.
Well,
Um,
I think what you might mean there is, say I'm in a thread talking about Rogue and Josh, then I say backchat, I want to talk about a holiday. So that means that backchat starts you a new thread with the holiday booking bot.
yeah.
When I hit back, I would expect it, because I got no stateboard history within the holiday booking thread, I would expect it to go back to the thread I was on previously, which was the Rogan Josh thread.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was in another browser window and I came into the Rogan Josh thread and added something else while I was on the holiday booking thread, I would expect that when I went back in history to the Rogan Josh thread, that it represented the latest, freshest, newest version of that thread.
Yes. Yes. So you're context switching at that point.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. So you think that it's okay to include the stateboard as part of the user's navigation history?
I think so. Yeah.
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 Okay.
So, can you give me
Okay.
a second? I hear very faint knocking. Give me 2
Oh.
seconds. Oh, that was mildly irritating. Anyway, where were we?
Can I get an answer from you on what I'm doing with the file browser, the branch browser, and the commit browser? You
File
don't,
browser, as described, yes.
but in terms of priority, you were in the process of telling me that something
Yeah.
more important is
The
there.
important thing is, so for example, let's take the work I'm doing with the website. I've got like 3 agents going at the moment, and then when I get a certain amount of progress in one, then take it to another one. What I'd like to do is
Call in a
inside
different
of
agent.
how, yeah, it's just like, right, okay, take that last response and then take me to, the copywriter.
Okay, I think I got what you mean now. Hang on a second. Sometimes so you wouldn't want to send that to Hal, and you wouldn't want to start the copywriter bot with "take me to the copywriter bot." You would want to absorb that by switchboard. Switchboard has been spoken to. Like that's sort of the ghost behind
Yeah,
the bots.
yeah.
It's
So
not
yeah,
quite backchat. It's like
it's not
back.
backchat.
It's what we used to
Similar, but
think of as backchat. I think.
yeah, but it's the actions that where backchat gives you access to a bunch of operating level functions.
Yeah.
Switchboard gives you access to a whole bunch of bots.
Right.
But otherwise, it's very similar.
Similar concept, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in thread, and then you go. Okay, now load up the cucumber bot, and then the cucumber bot. You just see that switchboard has selected it, and it's going to hold the affinity there until you do something drastic that signals you want to go off of that bot.
That's right. So
Yeah.
I'll give you a good example, which is just fresh on my mind. Trying to take one of these YouTube transcripts into a blog post. So I've got the transcript bot, and it's all messy. I'm going, no, ignore all this bit. No, that's right. Rearrange that and say, oh, okay, that's quite good.
Yeah.
But it's all too wordy and formal. Switchboard, take me to the copywriter, and that last payload will then I'll then be talking to the copywriter, and the copywriter will go, I say,
Right, but it's all the same thread, right? You're still in the same thread, and all that happened was the agent.
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, but I'm talking to a different agent.
And a different agent popped up. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I could even go back, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah. And it's like, right, take me to the grammar checker. Okay, going to the grammar checker, and it checks my grammar, and still got the payload. It's that payload moving backwards and forwards, being able to switch between bots and carry a payload between them.
I don't think that's actually happening. I think you're visualizing it like that because that's what you do. But in actual fact, the payload stays still, and the bots are changed.
Yes, exactly.
Because the payload always stays with you, right? Like in this scenario you're talking about, the payload is always with your focus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. A better analogy, because the analogy I just gave was what I'm doing on browsers.
Yeah.
So cut and paste into another.
Yeah. So but actually,
a better analogy would be I'm sitting in my big leather chair with a big desk.
Yeah.
Say, right, copywriter, get your arse in here. Right.
Your
turn. You do this.
That's right. Okay.
Like, right, you fuck off, grammar guy.
That's rude. Okay. I think so you want that now. So this issue came about because I made the testing framework works pretty good, and I started working on getting it to display in the browser so that you can be like, hey, run this test. And then, so in your leather chair, you're like, hey, test expert, get in here. Okay, what test have I got? All right, run the cucumber.test file. Then it runs, and then because that's so much, it generates so much information, I felt like you needed a widget to see it. Now, yes, you can have a chat about it, but it seemed like at some point I need to make widgets. And
the widget in the example I gave, a widget wouldn't do it because say we went to copywriter.
The
copywriter, unless it gets it right first time, every time, I'm going to want to say something about it. And
right, but wouldn't the widget be? Hang on a second. Oh dear, I forgot.
Oh. It's one of those banal phrases you never want to hear with a guy in charge of a nuclear reactor. In charge of your latte. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This one. So what I think you want is I'm going to give you this. This would be your widget.
Mm-hmm.
And you could either...
So an embedded thread.
An embedded text editor. So the let me let me try behave like I'm from the ghetto. Hang on. So you'd have da 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 da. Oh, so much pain, so much pain. Da, da, da. Right. So I'm so terribly embarrassed about all this. Right. So this is what these two tabs glued together are what you get. You're like, hey, can you translate that text to Chinese? Then you'd go enter, and then you'd see in the editor, this would translate to Ni Hao La. But you could also go in there and type if you wanted.
Yeah, okay, so...
And then when you click save, save is really just... So while you're typing, while you've made modifications, one of those lozenges is showing up here saying file changed, path to file, blah, blah, blah. You can, right. When you hit the save button...
Rather than Chinese, if you were to say something like, can you translate this into Geordie?
To who? Into what?
Okay, maybe that's too British. North England. Can you translate that into slang? And it comes up with your version of text in slang. Sure, I could go and fix it. I don't want to fix it. I say, actually, no, what I meant was like New York slang. And then redo it.
Yeah.
Right, so you're always talking to the same box.
You're talking to, this is the chat about the data. The data right. is over here, and it's being...
the thing is, who are you talking to at that point? On the
which
left-hand
point?
Side?
On the left-hand side,
yeah,
well, based on your scenario, you just summoned copywriter.
Yeah.
Because you were like, I want to talk to the copywriter. The copywriter pops up. Copywriter comes with knowledge of the Markdown editor widget that it can drive the stateboard with, right? And so when you start talking to it, it's been honed and tuned and tested to work. It knows that the stateboard is showing, and it knows what's on the stateboard. When you edit the stateboard, it is made aware of the changes that you made. When you highlight on the stateboard, it would show up with a lozenge saying file highlighted, line X, character Y, blah, blah, blah. So that when you select something and go, hey, make my selected text bold, it knows what you selected.
Okay. That's great, by the way. Just notch that one off. I like that a lot. That's not the only type of payload, because, for example, say if you wanted 3 judge bots to give you your opinion, give their opinion. Now they can come up in this format. That's fine. But then you might be working on 3 opinions about a target text.
Are you?
So then I want to say, right, judge 2, that one. Okay, apply that one to what I've just said. So it's not always on a target, but maybe that's for another day.
So would you have expected the versions, like if you had that system running, I would imagine you would make a bot that was like the registrar of the judges, that it orchestrated the judges. And so that system, the thing I've been toying with is that these widgets can be nested. And so you would make a widget that was the orchestrator widget that could be assembled with three different judges that were split by tabs, for example. And so you could get the three judges to output their results, and then you could see them all just by hitting on the tab in the widget. Now, you could read the data raw because the data is all in files, but the thing that widgets lets you do is sort of slurp it up and compact it and do some presentation layer stuff on it to make it that much more useful to the human, because you can't sometimes there are aspects of user interfaces that are brilliant for presenting data. A map is one example, right? Like you could never get right. It just doesn't work to have a natural language description of fucking of the map, right? And so long as we're judicious about when we choose to use UI or not, we can get a better experience. So if you wanted like multiple versions of a doc, you could either toggle between them all manually, or you could make a widget that was for comparison.
This has got value. Let me bring something up on the screen, which we quite recently. Where was it? Hold music.
Dun 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 dun.
Okay.
Dun,
All right.
dun, dun, dun.
Right. Here's our scenario.
Dun, 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 dun.
Share. Take over. Ha 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 ha. Take over. Gotcha. Right. So, it's one of the ones it's using to do the website bot, and it's like, okay, you go, yeah, well, this is just HAL3, right? So as you know, HAL3 goes through guesses. So it's like guess 1, guess 2, guess 3.
Right.
Reflection 1, reflection 2, reflection 3. And then it proposes 1. Now, down here, I said yes, but maybe it's a, no, I like version 2. Now, we're working on effectively a file, a system prompt, which is the website bot, and it suggested 3 different things, and it's saying, at this point, this is my recommendation, but what would be good is I will be, could say, this guest 3.1 is the best one.
Yep.
But it's not the file itself. It's apply that to the target that we're working on. So we're both collaborating on working on something.
All right. So how I would write that is I would make it so that each guess was written out to a different temporary file, and then a widget was presented that showed all 3 separated by tabs or, side by side if your screen was big enough, whatever. And then when you pick one, that shows up in the lozenges above the prompt because it indicates selected guess 3.1, and then that shows up in the prompt. And so what you would do is you'd pick 3.1 in the widget, you'd and ah, you would have flicked around and all that, but you eventually settled on 3.1 in the widget. That shows up in your prompt as saying that that's what you selected. Then you say, I like this one the best, but there were aspects of guess number 1 that I wish were incorporated, such as blah, 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 blah. And then when you hit send, the bot now knows that you chose 3.1 and it got this extra information, and then it carries on.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Okay, so what we're doing there is we're collaborating on a target file, system prompt.
Yeah.
And I'm asking, say, 3 separate judge bots, doesn't matter what they're called, to each get their own opinion based on what we've got, and maybe they're just more or less creative. They appeared widgets.
Yeah.
And then I think what you're saying is like, okay, you're suggesting, the original bot I'm talking to, you're suggesting 3.1.
Yep.
Apply 3.2. It's like, no, no, it's not going to work. It went 3. Actually, that's better than 3.1. Okay, back into your original long thread saying, okay, let's go with 3.3. So it's a collaboration. So the information being passed backwards and forwards. In the analogy, I guess it's, right, 3 copywriters, get your ass in here. Give me your views on this. Rewrite it.
Yeah.
It's like, yep. Oh, and the original bot, which one do you think? I think it's 3.1. I disagree. I think it's 3.3. But what you added there is like, you say, you know what, 3.1, I quite like its use of, I don't know, garbage. But 3.3 is more accurate. Right, mush those.
Yeah.
But you're talking to the original. That would be lovely. That would be really lovely. That'd be nice. Because you could sing tunes on that. Because they don't have to be copyrights, of course. It would be, it's like, give me your opinion. It's like asking 3 friends for your opinion, and then you're talking to your best friend, saying, these 3 guys have said this. What do you think? And you go, It's like, well, I think this and this. Pick and choose, but you're still talking about the same target thing that you're working on. Yeah, I don't know if that's added a lot of complexity or whether what I've just said was completely opaque.
No, because that's the kind of functionality we want. Like, we really want to. Like, it gave me quite a delight to see the assessor bot running in parallel, doing 4 different assessments at the same time, and then summarizing the results back. The trick, or the power that we're trying to bring to the table is a nice simple way for you to get AIs to run in parallel, because all the big dogs are all focusing on a single bot running a single instance and doing a good job of it. We're saying that, one of our niches is that in order for you to have parallel bots doing something useful, you need a very well-defined data structure. And I think that the data structure eludes a lot of these big guys because the data structure is the domain of the end user application, not of the model.
They're tier 1. We are working on tier 2, and the maps are tier 3.
Yeah, and so this parallel call thing is probably one of the areas that we want to really push at, because sure, 1,000 parallel calls is pretty cool, but even 3 parallel calls is done in the right way is pretty useful, because you're getting just that much more, you're squeezing that much more juice out of the AI.
Right, but we're touching on something really quite important here. Let me think about this. So, by analogy, we were basically talking about an infinite black box of an infinite number of clerks.
Yeah.
And you just go and do that, which is parallel calls. It all comes back, and that's all that lovely. And all that you're interested in is how quickly it comes back.
Yeah.
But actually, what we've just been talking about, I hadn't thought about before, is last night I was watching House of Dragons, and it's a bit like you got the king, and you got 10 dudes who's the council. You're asking opinions, and you've got the hand of the king, who is Hal, who's like giving his thoughts about what the other 9 are saying, but the king can still say, yeah, thanks for that, but no, this guy over here, let's go with that. It's a different model than the black box, isn't it? Because it's not fire and forget. It's interaction.
Yeah.
I've not thought about this before. There's definitely something here, because that's how people work, right? If you think about yourself as like the king or queen on House of Thrones, and also 10, a whole bunch of other guys.
It's actually hard. It's actually hard to generate enough meaningful work to occupy 100 people. If we had a room full of 1 million clerks, it would be challenging to use the capacity and not just use it frivolously for the sake of a benchmark.
Well, yes, absolutely. But the benefit of having 1,000 clerks is there's one guy that knows about Mesopotamian script.
Yeah, there's structure to those clerks. They're not, they're not the same.
You can't swap them in.
They have talents.
Specialty.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Now, I think it's important to keep in mind that if we're going to be going for the parallel calls thing in a useful way, that's an important stick to put in the ground. Those 3 bots that you just talked about could be Claude, Gemini, and 4.0,
Yeah.
right?
And various temperatures and all three different temperature levels. So
Yeah.
Now you've got to the power of.
Yeah.
You can get quite large quite quickly.
Yeah.
But you get an increasingly better response.
That's right. And so that seems like more like what our platform is striving to offer is user interface and data structure to allow you to control or leverage multiple parallel generative AIs.
Yeah, and but the thing is, interesting enough, I think back to our key question about 2 weeks ago, does this require anything new in Artifact? We could do this in Artifact. If we could spin off a bot with instructions and context and have a bot do the same for other bots, then we've got everything we need.
One more time, please.
So if the user can spin off a bot with instructions and context, and that bot himself could go through switchboard, spin off any number of bots with context and instructions, and then each bot in their own flavor, their own temperature, their own model would come back, and then the original bot you're talking about could give you a recommendation, but then you could drill down on that recommendation.
Drill down how?
There's nothing new in the Artifact required. Sorry?
Drill down how? Like drill down to see what the chain of thought, the chain of reasoning was?
Yeah, so say if...
hang on. I don't need an example. I need to clarify what your previous statements were.
Drill down. It's like, you've got 3 answers. It's like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So,
it's like, where did that come from?
And then do you want to deepen the conversation at a particular point? So you've drilled down to something that's already happened, and then do you want to start chatting at that point?
It would be...
Probably, right?
Yeah, okay. I think so, because, again, on the whole kind of Game of Thrones model, right? You've asked your Hand of the King to do something, and he's asked 3 advisors. Those 3 advisors have then gone to 3 other advisors, and they've come back with a report. And it's like, well, okay, show me all the options. It's like, oh, that's a very interesting one. Whoever wrote that report, bring him in here. So it might be 1, 2 levels down.
All right, can you go back? Can you go back to that original scene? I'm just trying to picture how all that works. So can you start again from the top, please?
Yep, sure. So I'm just going to go with the Game of Thrones thing because it's really cool. I like it a lot. So, right. King asks the Hand of the King, who's Hal. Right. I need to know whether...
The Howl of the King. Okay.
Yeah, the Howl of the King. Right. I need to know what I need to do in order to stop these dragons fucking eating me. Right. The Hand of the King. Right. Okay. So I'm going to talk to 3 other bots. There's the diplomacy one. There's the spy
one. Stop. So you wanna be in one thread, and then you wanna package up a task that creates a new thread, where that new thread is controlled by this calling thread, and that thread goes off and does a number of steps until it reaches exhaustion or is told to stop, and then the result comes back to the original thread as a finished thing. Be that here's some changed files, Here's a piece of text back. Well, I guess that's all you can get back, right? The only things you can get
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Yep.
But I guess the thing, and again, I think all this falls out. This is all prompting. What I'd love to see is the minority report. It's like,
So
here's
you gave the
what's.
same task to 3 different threads?
So you give it to Hal.
Yeah,
Hal gave it to 3.
yeah,
Each 3 give it to 3 others.
yeah.
And so, we got 9 source reports coming back, 3 into each. Each decides, okay, this is the best report. Hands it off to Hal. Hal goes, of these 3 that I've got, this is the best report. Boom. But also kind of minority report saying, here are the alternatives.
Okay,
Hal's
so
giving you.
let's pick a very specific example. It's
Mm,
I would like to say why the Dreamcatcher is exempt from securities regulation in the state of Delaware.
right. Okay.
Okay,
So that's the question to Hal, right?
yeah. And then
Um,
Hal goes, that seems like a great candidate for this new multi-bot agent thingy.
yep.
So, and then I think Hal would switch in thread, switch to the let's call it the orchestrator.
Mm,
The orchestrator would then make function calls that would start up these new threads and give them those tasks, which would run until completion and then come back. While these threads were running, would you expect to be able to keep talking to Hal, or would you want to sit there and wait until the thing eventually finished?
no. I'd prefer to then talk to Hal about. So what are you doing
Something
for
else,
dinner?
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the job goes out in the UI. In the UI, you would see, what would you see? You'd see there's like an indication that some work is kicked off. You would be able to click on it somehow or touch on it to get some updates on the status of the work. So I guess that the widget that would show there would be like a progress bar tracker.
Yep.
If you wanted to actually dive into and participate in one of those threads, I could let you watch it, but I don't know how I could let you talk to it, because you would kind of derail the structure of the system if you interjected somewhere.
Not live until they come back with a report.
So they're running as
Shut up.
drones. They're running as
Yeah.
drones, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
what
then,
if some of them come back and they need some more information? Is that a possible thing?
sure. They'd probably go up one level to their master bot and
Right,
saying, "I'm not clear about that. Can you sort this out for me? Maybe it can. Maybe it can't."
right.
And then would percolate up and saying, right, we've got a question in on this last thing you've asked for. Can you clarify this bit?
Right. Okay. So I don't know. I think I can deal with questions later, because
Yes.
that's like the exception handling mechanism and error bubbling and other such fairly mechanical problems. This is really about the fundamental ability to start a drone that is a thread, which can do a number of things. Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
the test file, the test suite kind of does that, because the test
It
suite
does, doesn't it? It's the same
reads some
thing, isn't it?
things, does a bunch of stuff, runs some more threads, forks, does some stuff in those branches, then comes back, and then eventually
It's
returns.
very similar, isn't it? And
Yeah.
also, we've been talking about drilling into the test about why. It's like, okay, so you got this whole test suite, and it's like, that's failed. Okay, why is that? Going to that one, going to this one. It's like, all right, okay, that's why I failed. I guess the only thing I'm adding to that is if there's an AI, not a drone, but an AI who's been in the chain, you can ask, why did that happen? It's because of this. Like, bugger. fine. That's the thing. It's like if you had a massive civil service, you call in anyone at any time. They're all doing this sort of thing, and one guy comes up and saying, "No, can't do it." You can either talk to the top level guy who's going to have averaged information and all about it, or in the next level. But why not just go to the guy who said no? It's like, why did you say no?
Yeah, but you also, I think what you want to do is if there were parallel threads, you want to sort of wait until that maybe there were other errors. So you should be able to see these errors pop up in real time, and then you could drill in and deal with them one at a time, but the rest of the program would still continue on until various parts hit various elements.
That would be a lovely finesse, maybe. So you're running a whole bunch of tests, and most are right, one fail, most are right, another fail, and it continues, and everyone else is testing it, and you go in, okay, so take these two fails, is there anything common to this? Why these two fails? Maybe there's nothing common. Because the most interesting thing is when you're wrong, right?
Yeah.
When it's not right. If you're right, then you learn zero information. What you really want to do is, oh, that's interesting. Now, the ability to talk to the bot that said the interesting thing is one thing. Getting those two guys into a room and saying, well, right, you two talk to each other. That's another thing. Again, that's a sophistication we don't need to deal with at the moment, but it'd be lovely. Saying, okay, so what's going on here? So you failed on this and you failed on that. What's commonalities? Is there a single point of failure here, or is there just randomness?
Right.
But I think that's probably too complex to deal with right now.
Okay, so your original point was actually that you don't think we need anything more from Artifact. We do need one more feature from Artifact, which is the ability to detach from a function call. So call it and then let it run and then carry on doing something else.
Like a promise?
No, a promise. It's a promise that you ignored the result of.
Oh, right. So
that's different.
Anymore. Right.
Yeah, that's different, right? And because that sort of, I hadn't built anything like that before. So we can do all those features, but for now, the thread's going to sit there and wait until things finish and come back, until I get some time to put in that detached promise feature where you can call it, don't give a shit, but I want to get notified.
It's like a kill process. Then.
Well, it's like properly spawning a child process where you're like, go, be free, do your thing.
Yeah, but then the process is off doing a rabbit thing and generating a whole bunch of cost.
Yeah.
And it's like a PS minus UX kill, bam, stop it.
Yeah. So you need that sort of ties into what we have to do to manage billing and killing all children or all sub processes as well. So it's a bit of a gnarly one, but there's a couple of gnarly ones coming up, right? Like billing, kill all.
Yeah. Well, at the moment we're just catching that by only putting so many dollars into.
Yeah, I know. I know.
It goes over.
Yeah, I'll see. But that's cheaper than getting this stuff right, because there's still might be some extra features that we want to jiggle around that would affect how that work goes. So that's why I'd sort of rather leave that till as late as possible. But I'm starting to feel like we see enough of the system now that it's starting to feel very stable. Like it's feeling like we've got, if we have got errors in there, they're enormous and fundamental because we haven't noticed them.
Let's not go there. We've been there before.
So it seems good enough, man. Like it seems like we got enough features. It works well enough there's so much room for tuning. It's not even funny. Right.
Yeah.
So what did you want from me? Because I made this testing framework and it works. It works in the command line, and I'm trying to bring it up to the UI so you can use it in
I think
here.
the UI is good. So remember our last call, we're meeting in the middle. Now, I've been working on the website stuff, and so I've not progressed beyond the sequence diagram level. But it seems like you can hurl a half brick and hit it. So that seems fine. If it was into a state chart, then that would be lovely. That would be lovely. But
If what was into a state chart?
the testing,
What?
you run the tests, and you get the results of the tests.
In a state chart? I don't get it.
That's what you're talking about, right? So the results of the tests as they're coming through, being displayed.
Yeah, that wasn't going to be a state chart. That was going to be just a TPS report, just a custom little list.
I thought you were talking about updating as the tests were coming through. Going,
Yeah.
here it is.
Yeah, but why is that a state chart?
Okay, maybe we're getting terminology wrong. A display of the results of the tests as they're coming through.
That's not a state chart. That's something on the state board.
Oh, sorry. My mistake. Yes, state board.
Sorry. Okay. Yep. Perfect.
Sorry,
okay.
Sorry.
So is that the thing I'm carrying on with? Because
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So and I'm starting to feel like I need a file system widget, but that's sort of more nice to have than essential to have. So what I'm trying to make then, correct me if I'm wrong, is the ability for you to use this UI to edit an author, probably with some sort of a little widget to help you author a test file, and then run that test file and have the test results show up in a widget on the state board that was designed for crudely showing TPS results, and extra for experts updates live as the tests are running, so you can get early indicators of what's going on.
Exactly. So taking an ERD, I've got the sequence from going from ERD through to almost through to test reports. That's the brick. Not got to throw yet, but it's going to be easy. So ERD all the way through to not test reports, tests, and then run the tests, results of the tests, and you're back in to changing the ERD, which we've already got the creator bot to help, to make sure it's all self-consistent, and then rerun the tests. And that's the cycle. Now we get that with pretty much any business process, and someone who actually has the kind of guru status of knowing, saying, oh no, that's wrong, that's right, this is how we do it. Should be straightforward to build anything for a business process that is well formed and not completely chaotic.
Okay. Okay, so
I spend a bit of time thinking about this.
what?
Previous topic. Sorry, no, I'm just talking to myself. Yeah. It always helps whenever I start to think about any kind of multiple AI system as just a bunch of dudes.
Yep.
And the interesting thing in this call, which is really valuable, I suspect, don't know yet, is instead of passing over a piece of paper to another dude, you just get them to come in and sit down on your laptop and do it on one laptop, which is
Yeah.
it's quite a fundamental change. That
Yeah.
I had not thought of it in that way.
Yep.
So I know
That's
what I was mumbling.
That's what long threading is. That's what long threading is.
It's like, come into this whiteboard.
Yeah.
You root the cause.
Then you're like,
Anyway.
okay, you're done. Next.
Yeah.
And then
Right. Yeah, I'll get 3 guys in. What do you think?
Yeah.
2 agree, 1 doesn't. Right. Guy who doesn't. Why not?
why no?
Aye. What are you about?
What are you doing? Okay. Alright, I think I can do all of that. And that's
a good sign.
so that will give us the stateboard as well. So that'll mean that very quickly we can make our next demonstration to the CRM guys that shows like the customer searching, the mapping, so like showing an actual geographical map inside a widget, which I think will be a pretty cool thing to be able to show inside of HAL. And then we'll use the testing framework to make sure that those widgets appear at the correct time with the correct information based on what variations of the user prompts were. Right?
Yeah.
And once we have that testing ability, that's the sort of the start of traction or incremental gains, because
utility.
Yeah. And then we just build up the core of our system, testing the switchboard, testing all the agents to make sure they behave right.
Yep.
Adding widgets here and there, prompting.
I'm really looking forward to is the second time we run through this, because I think it's going to be so fucking easy in comparison to like building software.
Yep.
So very easy.
Yep. Okay. And then we're
All
pushing on with the model of any system can be defined, or a large number of interesting and valuable systems can be defined with an ERD plus
an arbitrary process. Yep. With sequence, sequence through tests. Tests are I think actually tests are the thing. If you had a mega brain, you could write the tests to start with. Everything else would fall out, but people don't have a mega brain. They have meat brains.
They need to loop, yeah. And so you got an ERD plus some business rules plus some workflows, which are business processes.
Yep.
And then you have tests that exercise the entity diagram, the business rules, and various workflows, so that you have assurance that of all the different ways a person could enter text, the behavior of the system is within some acceptable bounds.
Yes. And you've got it falls out almost for free. If you make a change, does it break any of the rules? And so where?
Right, and that covers us from system changes like artifact changes, model changes from the AI systems that we consume, and iterative improvements that we make, making sure we don't
mess with it as well.
Yeah. All right, that's all very good.
Okay, cool.
Something you might find interesting if you get bored is to take our conversations that we had when I came over in November and split those out, run those through MeetingBot and ingest those.
Cool. That would be interesting.
Now that AI has moved on a bit.
In there that we've forgotten about it.
Yeah. Because we've only just now started to get the stateboard. Like today was,
But the stateboard was when you're over in November.
Yeah, I know.
That's when we're
That's how long it took to get to.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Ah,
There's a lot of things
dear.
changing. Anyway, right, what time is it? Oh, right, shit, I need to go quite
Okay,
soon.
buddy.
Can I run you through my oh, I was about to say my pain.
Sure.
Really.
It's always
There's no
nice.
action required here. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. I'm going to get the right page up so I don't end up screaming my barbaric tempest over the rooftops of the oh, damn it. Oh, I sent you the file, isn't it? I want to go through that file and just explain what I'm doing. Where did that file come from? There it is. Okay, so a couple of interesting things. So the aim is to take, I bet I'm about to leak data. I want to get the website up. Where's the website? Yeah.
I'm looking away
good.
and covering my.
No, it's fine.
This is the tempest barrier.
Yeah. Okay. Well, by looking away. Okay. So, right, we're good. Okay. So what we'll do is take this in Docusaurus format and keep this dynamically updated with the various cool things. Now, not too out of date actually. So the first thing that I came across is just throwing it at it and trying to be nice to the bot didn't work because it got a bit weird in terms of it's quite hard to tell it this is a marketing piece. The marketing piece is meant to reflect what other people are coming to it, not what we want to say about it. So we're not listing functions, which is what I did for the first wee while. It's like, here's what you can do. It's about what if you were to use this, why would you give a shit? What you're going to get out of it.
Right. So you need to find a nice role to give it.
Right, exactly. That's where I'm going down. So the ERD shows functions, and I got a perfectly great set of text, but all of it talked about functions. It even listed, God bless it, the admin up there. As an admin, you can do that. It's like nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit about admins, even though they should. There went through. I've been going through chat actually because chat is great as a dumb bot. Just talking to just straight. What are the main principles of making engaging, non-cheesy, business-like copy for a business website? Because the first thing, either it was functions or it was super cheesy. It's like, I'm not putting my name to any of this text. So I think there's a bot there to kind of rough hew it. It's like, now by rough hew it, what I'm going to do next is I've started to think along these lines. So having a format, the Dreamcatcher site involves a front page. Front page involves 6 bullets on major benefits. Those benefits could change. A major benefit involves a title and a description.
So you're busy making a format for how you expect the bot to output its text, and you're going to give it a bunch of examples of what are good things, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it was. Well, to start with, it was embarrassingly bad. But even as I was working through it, it was getting quite close. But it's like,
did you ever find that you needed to grab a paragraph and then focus on just that one paragraph?
Oh yeah, I do that. I've been doing that this morning actually. So you get it close. And then it's like blockchain technology enables contributions, including contributors. Now this is the very first box, top left, when you come down from the website. It's like nobody knows what a contributor is. Now, it's defined, right? So it's doing the right thing, but maybe there is a translation to the real world about what a contributor is, because they're not going to read the dictionary before reading the website. So there's definitely a finessing level here.
It feels
to make sure
bottable,
that
like it's like, use plain
it's definitely
language,
bottable.
or
Yeah,
um,
it is bottable, but it's definitely a collaboration with the bot.
right.
Because now this is all raw bot stuff, right? So fed it all in, and this is just the ERD, which is kind of cool. And it's like these are the 6 most important things. It's like collaborative transparency via blockchain versus permissionless participation sounds a lot similar. So as soon as you start to get nuanced, it's like you're kind of wasting people's time talking about the same thing in different words.
Yeah. So you then need to get a bot to go over it and compare each paragraph with every other one and be like, is this independent?
Right. So that's exactly the thing I'm doing today. So what I was going to do is to create a persona of a contributor, consumer, and a pre-buyer, give them various levels of grumpiness, and work on. I'm just working on this kind of MD format because translating that into Docusaurus is a trivial step. And saying, what do you think? At which point did you get bored? Does all this make sense to you, and so on? And then feed that input back into the writer bot who generated this. So having that handoff, I think, possibly would be the way to do this in order to get it self-consistent, because the writer bot knows it has to be consistent with the ERD and everything we've said about the ERD. The ERD itself we know is consistent because it's got the whole testing cycle, but it needs to present. You just stole the screen.
I'm sorry, I thought that you'd...
Damn you. I was mid-flow there.
No, you'd finished.
No, I was literally mid-flow. Oh, there's just sparkling diamonds all over the fucking floor here. Right.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. No, bring back Hemingway. That's fine.
I felt like I got what you meant.
Fine.
I was just...
Fine.
So this app is one that highlights...
you're back up. Yes, I've used this, actually.
And so we could clone this,
years, actually.
Right? Because we can actually, inside of that little editor that I showed you,
great one, yeah.
We can run parallel bot calls that will be going through and trying to identify things that are of issue, like uses weasel words. You could make a bot that was this very precise scalpel that knew about cheesy. It was trained to identify cheesy, and it was able to give feedback to the author bot on what cheesy was, because the bot clearly has an affinity to generate cheesiness. And so if you got a feedback loop going between this bot and the author, it would sort of hone it down another level.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, and thank you for reminding me of this. I used this for years and then for some reason stopped.
I wonder how much this company is worth, because we could make this thing.
15 years at least. I think I was using this back in the 2010s or something like that.
Right. Clearly they've kept it up to date, but yeah, we could make this in like a day sort of thing.
Probably 2 days, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the point is,
the point is,
conventional programming, this would have been a bit of a pain.
Oh God, can you imagine doing this before AI? These guys must be weeping through their eyes right now. It's bleeding.
They probably made their money, right?
Yeah, probably. Probably sold it to Grammarly. But that's a great idea. So what I'm thinking about is having a kind of layered approach. Now, this sounds more complex than it is because it's just bots, really, and cut and paste. But the first one takes the ERD and then produces natural language, a bit like that academic paper that I just produced for shits and giggles after 5 minutes. It's like, boom. Okay,
Right.
so here's everything we've got. And then the next thing is give it a format. And the reason, the format of the website. The reason is there's information there in that the very first thing on the website we've got is general benefits to everyone. Why do you care? And then specific benefits to each type of user.
When I hear you talk, it sounds like you know very well what you want it to do, but you're struggling to make it do it because actually what you've got there is a series of steps. And I would like to suggest to you an approach that might be easier to get your way at each stage. If you made the structure was not the whole website in one doc, but was staged. So first you had like, what are the top X something, and then you have like, you expand on things, so you get the top level structure right, and the reasoning around that structure is set first.
Yeah, kind of. I agree with you. But let's. If you've got time, how much time do you have?
I got a lot.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna take over. I'm raising your Hemingway with my shitty.
back to the back to what I was saying.
Exactly. It's very interesting. Now, back to what I was wanting to say. Actually, no, but exactly what you're saying. Okay, so major benefits are like meta benefits, right? So then we've got, if you remember the website, which is...
But you kind of want to be able to give the bot a way to say its reasoning as well. Like, that's a reasoning task.
It is, but okay, here's this kind of top level kind of architecture thing, right? We've got a page here. Do we want the bot to be able to mess with the basic meta, which is 6 points, which are benefits over our system?
No, I don't think we do. What I think we actually want is to have not 6 points, but 20 points, and it chooses the top 6.
Based on?
It needs to be taught how to rank.
Oh no, that's easy enough. But we're still dictating.
We dictate the structure. We dictate the top level structure. But all that this structure is a collection of different stack ranks of independent concepts. That's all.
Right.
And so in a business that was more than just you and me, what I would like to have happen is that other people, including the general public, can introduce new concepts to the stack and have the bots automatically re-rank them. People can come in and make their own edits to this page, and the bot will do the ranking, the checking, all that.
That's kind of cool. Now, at the risk of tempest, let me see if I can find this again. What I said was,
the Game of Thrones ambulances.
What? Don't ask. Well, actually, you can ask because it's not. It's quite funny, but not to the point.
I'm gonna look away until you've finished your little romp there.
I find that the Game of Thrones ambulances was no, I better not say actually. It was a funny thing where it had to do with parking, the optimal configuration of parking of ambulances, such that there's the least number of vans that you need to move in order to get the one in the middle out. It's a thing. I'm working on it. I haven't worked out what the proof is yet. Right. Okay, so what it's doing here is it's got all the information about everything, right?
Yep.
So um, I think what you were saying was something like, where's my monkeys? Yeah. Oh, there was not, my home keys are actually worn down so much that
You lost the
give
nipple on your
me
home key.
give me the 20 most important aspects. Oh, for fuck's sake.
The most important aspect.
Oh, God, this has been recorded. Most important aspects of the system. Give me 20. Rank them from most.
And then ask for like before each one, give your reasoning of why it's important and why it's chosen.
I'm going just to say why it's important because that's synonymous with why it's chosen.
It's not bad. It's pretty good.
I know it's not bad at all, isn't it? Now, this is the. I'm going to line up the next prompt because I think it'll be cool.
That's really good. A question for you: Should 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 there be a distinction between buyers who are consuming applications, wanting a feature, and saying that they will pre-buy it, where they, for example, had to explicitly approve the payment once the feature arrived, as opposed to the more contractual world of clients paying for things to be built, where they may end up forced to pay over their money?
Okay, so that's quite a complex question. If I think I understand you, it's in the more traditional world, you are putting up money for services which is down to your meat brain to define, and so that your meat brain being poor, their meat brain being poor, there's risk, and so
Yeah.
there's a risk there.
Yeah.
Whereas with being a pre-buyer, you don't need to do any of that because, well, you got enhancement, of course, but if what's produced is not actually what you asked for, and it's never used, oh no, there is a bit of risk there, isn't there? Because you could define the stock, or there could be insufficient data for the stock that it could be ambiguous, and there's an escrow, and then someone goes and builds it, and then sorry, we're not calling it escrow now, but you know what I'm talking about.
The prepayment of funds.
The release goes about the data that you've given. So there is still a risk because you can't see it and can't use it and go, yes, that's what I want. But it's a hell of a lot better than trying to define it up front.
Right. So I guess my questions relate to whether it's a security or not. And if you, let's just erase the difference between, let's say there's only one type of forwards purchasing on the platform, and the rules are it can be for any amount of money, But once the thing is built that passes the QA that is worthy of receiving your money,
Mm-hmm.
you still have to click yes. And if you click no, you get your money back.
Mm-hmm.
And then that makes it so that you're no
But you
longer.
can't then you can't benefit from it. The
You
thing is,
could though.
people
That's the
people
thing. Like you could still benefit from it, and that would be there's a there's a there's a collection of rules like this that are fundamental changes that we need to modify to get around or satisfy some of the regulatory hurdles, but they can end up putting an onerous amount of burden on the workers because the workers can end up doing work that people said they were going to buy, but they didn't.
Well, let's take a very non-security route where the buyer is an active participant, and we've got the contributors. Buyer puts up escrow, workers do, then come back, and the AI goes, "Yep, that looks right," and the
Yeah,
buyer goes, "Hmm, shit, no, I need to change what I was asking for a bit there."
yeah.
What happens at that point? Because
That's
work's already been carried out.
yeah. That's the thing though. Like that seems okay because the punishment for the buyer is that first of all, if they do that more than once, no one's going to take, that they're not going to be scored seriously. It's like, oh, this guy
Yeah, the
yanks.
reputation thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got another buyer that is known to pay, like actually escrows the funds and then clicks pay, then you're like, I want to do what that guy wants because he's a good dude. Secondly, you can punish the people who did a rug pull by increasing what the price calculation of their cost of services is, which means that they will be charged more for their consumption because of their behavior there.
That is true. There's a couple more things as well because if you hadn't, as a pre-buyer, quite specified it right, adding more in as fractional escrow seems reasonable. Like, sorry guys,
Right,
but
but
yeah,
isn't the main thing you really want is you want it to be right. So let's assume that the pre-buy is genuine. If it gets to the stage of acceptance and they're like, it's not like, oh, I just changed my mind. It's like, no, now that I see it, I know more about it and I know what I
oh
want, and it
yes,
wasn't
yes,
that.
yes. But
That's actually
that
valuable.
that we can that we can tell because if we said I want all the buttons orange and he looks at it and goes, uh, no, green. No,
Yeah,
that is just change of mind.
right.
Um, if at no point he mentioned colors of buttons and they turned out orange and he doesn't like green, sorry, you never said what color you want. If you said I want purple and it turned out orange, it's like that's not right.
Right, but it's sort of maybe that's okay.
I think that is okay. The other thing that's interesting, I think that is okay actually, um, because your original question is there is a difference between like buying something that's built and something you're asking for, and there's a huge difference between that and hiring a dev company. But I suspect we're going to have a whole bunch of. It's almost like eBay for software. It's like we've gone this far, and it didn't work out, and everyone goes, "Oh my god, like you're almost there, right? Let me pick up that
Yeah, well,
escrow."
but doesn't that actually seem like it's better in ways that we haven't appreciated before? Because the devs will bail early, and
Yeah.
oftentimes the devs should not persist. Like,
Right.
people
Imagine how
build these
much.
stupid fucking things because someone keeps paying. And the dev's
Yeah.
like, well, I need the money, so I don't agree with this,
Yeah.
but I'll do it.
I'll keep buggering on until
Right,
you stop paying me, and then
right.
fuck off. Yeah. Yeah.
And so the quality of the software is bad, and we blame that, and we blame the dev. But actually, the blame is the guy who kept on paying for it.
Right. Right. But the flip side is someone who like gets cold feet and going, oh shit, I had too many tequilas when I asked for that
Yeah,
software. I'm just gonna pull out.
that's
But
kind of
then,
okay because it's like, again, if it was a useful piece of software, there should have been more than just the guy that liked tequila,
Yeah,
right? And that's again
yeah,
another signal. It's like, well, if there's only one guy and he's got no reputation, doesn't that mean the software request is probably shit?
yeah. But it could be quite close, right?
But it won't be
So,
if it's
oh
the
no,
only
no,
guy, right?
it's it's like, oh, if you only just like turn this, half a turn. So say if there's like a 3/4 built. What I'm thinking at the moment is a bit like, when you get on eBay, uh, yeah, trying to rebuild this motorcycle engine. I've got all the parts and I've run out of time. So I'm selling it
Yeah,
all in a big bucket.
yeah, yeah.
That's valuable, right?
I know. Because you could even start to offer insurance to workers because you're like, we've got a scoring mechanism that detects how likely it is that a particular job will be paid. If you promise to give us 10% of the proceeds for completion, we will guarantee you X percent of the staked purchase price.
That's um,
And
that's
so
really good.
the point,
Especially if it's wow. Yeah, that's really good. I was about to say reciprocal insurance, but pre-buyers don't need insurance because it's escrow.
well, they can yank the money. So what? All I'm really
Exactly.
saying is that if we soften the rules to say that people who are putting up money to cause tasks to be done can yank it at any time, including at the time of delivery, then you couldn't get any more less security like than that because it's like
Mm-hmm.
you actually bought a finished piece of software because you had to you indicated interest and then you
Mm-hmm.
had to actively buy it when it was
Mm-hmm.
done. When you could look at it, see it, hold it, you had to actively buy it. And
Yeah,
so, you know,
pre-buy. Yeah.
what does that mean for the overall rules of the system, right? Like it's, and what other kinds of rules could we experiment with altering? Because some of these rules in our heads, they're years old.
Yes, but well, being Scottish, British, European, I like tradition. Being years old is good because shit ideas you never remember. Um, I think your insurance idea is a good one.
Well, yeah.
Um,
So if we relax that constraint where there's very little binding or making you commit to payment, then we can reduce a lot of regulatory requirements that we might have and a lot of liabilities that we would have.
hmm. It sounds right.
It's that,
Because I
yeah,
say it's a pay. It's like all you're doing is uh, it's like putting down buying a car. Car's not been built yet. The deposit is the full cost of the car. You don't deliver the car, I'll just get my deposit back.
yep,
Fine, that's not security.
yep,
You get the car back, car delivered, and it's scratched to fuck. I'm taking my money back. That's not security.
mm,
So there's something about even though you put money in escrow, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a security at all because
no,
of that, as you say, the button press
yep,
saying, "Oh, you delivered this, yay!" And not only have you delivered this, but here's why this is a great car. It's no scratchies. Here's the driver docs. This is the name of
yeah.
every
And then
person who's
it's,
worked on it.
yeah, right? And it's like
Yeah,
only if you genuinely loved this thing would you pay for it. And as a
yeah.
worker, you're like, no, no,
That,
people
that's
that,
not security. But the flip side of that is the arseholes who've like put down, this money for the car. They built you the car,
mm,
perfect paint,
mm,
exactly what you asked for, and then you go, "Oh, my wife's just left me. I can't afford this. I'm going to pull out money." But then that's something insurable, right?
that is insurable. I also think that it's actually not that, it's not a bad thing that that happens because what it says is you should not have worked on things that had only one pre-buyer. You
Mm-hmm.
should have you should have used this scoring tool that tells you the likelihood. Like, if you had 1,000 people pre-buy for $5 that the button should be green and not red, that's a pretty good task to work on, because you're like, yep, they all have to accept it, but you know,
Yeah, yeah. And instead of doing bespoke stuff, what you're then going to do is to do all the work on the widget that allows the end user to say green, orange, purple, different orange.
it's kind of giving the people what they want with a different type of a weighting to it. So instead of it just being a weighting of pure money, it's a weighting of participation, because you've sort of, by changing that one rule, you've made it more important that you satisfy a large number of small customers than satisfying one big customer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the final issue that I have that I'll leave you with is that if you, how do you say that the ambient attribution was decentralized? Like, how do you make it so that, like, what does the person get if they pre-bought something, it got delivered, they loved it, it was green like they wanted, and they clicked buy? What did the person get, given that it's a GPL piece of software that they can now use, that they indicated that they wanted to use? It can become a security if they have an expectation of profit for that, couldn't it?
There's two questions there. How can you call that decentralized? It's not really decentralized because not yet. Could easily be, but you know, someone's got to run Git, someone's got to run Deno, and so on. But that's not, decentralization is not the point. The point is what the emergent behaviors or characteristics are, which is permissionless, transparent, which is the really interesting thing. And then we get into the licensing and fairness and so on. That's more to do with the rules that we're setting. But the decentralized piece, we just have to roll with. It's not really decentralized in that if Deno fell over and Git, pulled its license, we need to put in another engine beneath in order to get this going.
Right.
But I don't think we need to go that far down into the whole libertarian thing. What the implications are?
Because that it becomes really acute when you get into trading. Like, you definitely got a certificate of contribution if you bought something. Like, you have a piece of a record that says you paid $5 to make this thing happen. Then, if you sell it to someone and that person has an expectation of profit from it because you told them that it was going to make money, and because our tools calculated that it was receiving a royalty stream, it sounds like it might be a security then. And that's kind of the issue.
I think that's great, because if I were to buy a vintage car, and when I bought it, someone said, "I've got you a chart here. This car, the last 4 times it's been sold, here are the prices."
No, that's different. No, that's capital gain. Whereas what we are offering from ambient attribution almost says, now that I think about it, says security in the name. It's passive income. It's passive income. The car is not being sold.
Okay,
with
it's about one thing, but say a website then. Which amounts to the same thing. There's data and buyer beware. We're not making any projections forward of that. You're buying this point, and we're just giving you the real data. Where's the security on that?
Oh, well, the real data might show that it did have passive income projections. That
No, well, projections are the other side. I'm just saying this is what actually happened. This is what was paid out on this asset. Now, projections, yeah, that's absolute securities. And
it just seems very close to being a security. Well, like if we call the thing that you purchased, first of all, you got the work product, which is what you really wanted, and then you got a certificate of contribution. The certificate of contribution is the thing that we want to start paying out attribution to passively, right? So just by you holding it, you get some money, which that, out of context, that looks exactly like a security. But because of how you obtained it, given that you're the original holder, that's not a security because you participated in the act.
I don't know. I think I'm more relaxed on the securities thing than you are, probably because I know less about it. But number of analogies. But for example, you buy a flat and then
Right.
give that flat over to another company in order to give you a passive income by renting it out.
But you still
That's
own it?
that's not security.
Do you own the flat still?
Yeah, sure, but you own the
Yeah.
license.
And you can take the flat back at any time. Like that's not an investment of money. That's an investment of property.
What's the difference?
A security is defined by the investment of money.
Well, the money is there. Investment of money is in order to realize the asset. In the same way as investment money would be there to realize, the ownership of the license. Same thing, isn't it? I don't know.
So you're not so you're
I'm,
not
I'm,
that
I'm,
fussed about it, youth, and we should
I'm
just
quite,
maybe
I'm
get
quite
some.
relaxed.
Okay.
In the now, I say quite relaxed. I'm quite relaxed because possibly I don't know enough about securities law. That's almost definitely true. Second one is, given the spirit of what they're trying to do is to avoid a whole bunch of shysters saying, this year, this time next year, you're going to be millionaires, just give us 10,000
Yeah,
grand,
so that's the
10
problem
grand.
though. Why are we
Yeah,
not the shyster? How would anyone know that we're not the shyster? Even though we're genuinely trying to not be that, how would anyone know?
because we're not saying this time next year you're going to be a millionaire.
But it's not a security by the grandiosity of your promises. It's a security by the direction of the promise, not the scale of the promise.
Well, even if it was to do, and you see there's a lot with, even, trying to sign up to any kind of crypto wallets. It's like, bad things will happen. Remember, I did this recently, and you had this questionnaire. You do realize that we have nothing to do with your investment choices. Do you
Yeah,
realize that
yeah,
can
but
go up and
that
down,
that
that
is
sort of
that
thing?
is something that they had to say for the sake of regulation, and
Yeah.
so it feels like we need to be regulated in some way or meet some regulation to allow the trading of the contribution certificates because they would be bought with the realistic expectation of profit. Because in some instances of the securities laws being applied, the key word is reasonable expectation of profit. So even if the person selling it says you're not going to make any money, if all the other sort of surrounding information would lead a reasonable person to think they were going to make some money, which is definitely what we're going to be doing, that becomes a security.
Yeah, I think I'm not even close to being versed enough for this one, but I'll give
Okay.
you.
All right. Well, if you're not,
It's like, yeah, a domain name, right? You buy a 10% slice of a domain name based on that domain name's got a certain amount of traffic up to this point.
yep.
Okay, so now the person who sold you that domain name just told you about what the traffic to that domain name was prior to that. You can sell on your 10% because it's
Yeah, but
commercial.
the difference there is that the profit is not based on the efforts of others, because
Well, it
clearly,
could be if all you do is say to some other guy, "Here's domain name, and you're going to pay us 10% of your profits for having this domain name." That becomes security. But I think the bottom line is I don't know enough that I'm confident to talk about it. It just seems reasonable that we're not security. It just seems perfectly reasonable. But I do know that security laws are not. They don't. That's not a defense.
they'll get you, man. They're a funny,
Yeah,
they're an
I just don't
interesting
know
thing.
enough. I just don't know enough.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, okay. So we'll go with the buying thing on Stripe, and
Yeah.
then you're okay with the rule, or your initial reaction is that you're not offended by changing the rules so that there's no guarantee of payment because the buyer has the ultimate final say.
So long as there's a quid pro quo in the insurance, because otherwise you could get, well, yes, you could get a whole bunch of time wasters, tire kickers.
I believe they will be very, very obvious.
I think there will be, because everything they do will be tracked, and and they might do it once, but they will not do it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, I'm not offended by that.
okay.
What was I doing? I really need to go.
Okay, mate.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll give you an update. Not tomorrow. As I said,
Not tomorrow.
obviously,
Yep.
the day after.
Yep.
Um,
This came
so
out really good, dude. That.
I know I'm gonna hammer that one. The interesting thing I was about to add, which is why I pre-typed that in, is we could have dynamic set a hopper of
Yeah.
worded bits, and then
Yeah.
if you were to say I'm a contributor, then it gives you the stuff that's relevant.
Yeah, that's right. Plus, when we want to edit things, we can edit an individual piece and then it reruns this whole process, which may cause it to bubble up and down in the rank. But most important of all, newcomers to the site can chat with the information because it was generated in chat form. They can consume it in chat form. That's what we want.
Right, exactly. And that was the cool thing when we were talking earlier. The reason I did those two things. If we had contributors and whatever it was, pre-buyers, okay, and you had a chat, we could easily tell from that chat what you're cared about, and then we could re-render.
Oh, that's right. So you got like a form of switchboard that's tasked with detecting. Yes, that's charged with detecting which type of person are you,
right?
And then we render the widgets based on just pulling the ranked nuggets of the website.
It's a stateboard, right? I mean,
what
we're talking about here is exactly the same thing.
Yeah, because we can re-rank like what you just did. We can re-rank that on the fly and just list out the numbers in this list that represent the widgets in the order you want to show. Go, and it'd be like 5, 7, 1, 2, 11, right? And then that's just on the stateboard, and now the reader can just peruse that trivially.
Yeah, and also can change their mind. Can start to talk about, this sounds quite good. What if it's to buy some software? And it's like, here's a new website.
Right.
I'm not going to do that yet, but that the stateboard and the website seems to be basically two aspects of a similar underlying solution. I hate that word, but you know what I mean. It's like you could solve both if we get the stateboard right.
So really, the core is the knowledge base that we have that has these topicized lists of nuggets, and if we're all okay with these 20 nuggets, and we're like, these are all the things,
then we
that
do
are
all that good
all independent
and intent analysis and also context switch.
Yeah, and then right. So we
Now
can
we've got
have
a
a
website you don't need to navigate through. I mean,
no,
we allow that, but it's
yeah.
just like, here's a stateboard. Here's what you're asking for. It's like, ask more questions about any one of these things.
Oh, right. And then the button bot pops up the buttons that says, "Do you want to know more as a contributor? Do you want to know?"
Wouldn't that be wouldn't it be cool? The website for Dreamcatcher is actually running Dreamcatcher with its stateboard and bots and everything that you would experience once you actually sign up, instead of being, even a dynamically redrawn every time we change something, the text changes. It seems quite, limp in comparison to actually. It is effectively an app on the Dreamcatcher, which happens to be displaying website
Right.
information.
And then it's always trying to steer. Excuse me. It's always trying to steer you to sign up because it's like, well, look, the things you're trying to do cost money, and this is just the
Yeah, but we could
salesperson.
make it like super polite and not pushy. And it's like, it's
Yeah.
not always steering you. It's not pop up kind of
No,
thing.
no,
It's
no.
like,
It's in-band intelligence. It's like,
sounds like you want to do this.
yeah,
You want to know more
right.
about it.
It's like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like, I can't. You've got this amount of free credits, but if you want more, you need to sign up. And the reason is we're getting scammed, and it costs XYZ to run, and this
Right.
is the story behind it, and this is why it's so much. And then when they're like, oh,
And then you
why
go,
can't you
you're full
do?
of shit. And it's like, no, really, we are being scammed. Here's,
Yeah, it's like, well, here's some
chat to the
information
website.
about it, blah blah blah, and then it could say things like, why the fuck can't you do this and that? It's like, well, we need this piece built, and we're at X funding. Do you want to
Right. How
help?
much do you want it?
Yeah, how bad you want it, and then talk about, and you might get paid back later in some securities
Right.
conformant way.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I think that's where we got to get to, right? We're
Yeah,
we're real close. Like, we're
yeah.
real close to be able to do that.
So what I'm going to be doing, because I really didn't need to go, but what I'm going to do is got to
Still,
get those nuggets that are generated from the ERD and
yeah,
supporting these transcripts and that
yeah,
sort of thing, and get it all self-consistent
yes.
as Lego bricks,
Lego
and I
bricks.
can
Yeah.
put it into. Trivially, you can put it into Docusaurus, and we'll probably need to do that
I
for some of
wouldn't.
these
No,
scenes
let's just
together.
kill. We don't even need to worry about Docusaurus. That's a waste of time. We need these nuggets, and then I'll make us a little widget, because that widget will be so
Right.
easy.
Right.
I'm
So
making widgets right now.
when
Anyway,
you turn up to learn about the Dreamcatcher, you're actually using the Dreamcatcher.
it's running Dreamcatcher. It is talking to you with GPT 4.0, possibly Mini, because if we want to be tight asses, and it's like,
Mini's awesome, by the way.
it's
Don't this Mini. I love
I
the Mini.
know it is
It's
epic,
faster
right?
and cheaper. What's not to like?
And it seems about as smart. That's the
It's
weird
about
thing.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then that's it. So don't worry about Docusaurus at all. What you need to worry
Right.
about is the structure that you want inside the way you just described, and then you tell me what to make for the stateboard widgets. I think it's very simple. It's just like what we had on the
Yeah.
website, sort of, and then I'll put in the button bot, and then you can. Well,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
strange, isn't it? No more navigating through websites.
Oh, that sucks so
Just in
bad.
time website.
Yeah, just in time website.
Right. Anyway, I really do
Okay.
need to go now.
Okay, buddy. Thank you
Nice
very
one.
much. That was incredibly helpful for me. Thank you.
Yeah, and here too as well. Right. 48 hours.
All right, buddy.
See you back here.
See ya.
See you, man.